Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. As you can see today to the right of me I am joined by Greg, or Gort as you probably know him from the live comments or the YouTube videos. Gort is here to talk to us about his Everton story, his Everton journey, and our specific Everton icon inspired his journey, where he's from, how he's doing, and all of that sort of great stuff as well. A little bit like the video we done on Friday with Cornet. Gort is going to tell us all about his view on Everton and his journey to becoming an Evertonian. So firstly, how are you, mate? How are you doing? I know it's tough times, obviously, at the moment. We're all in a sort of
Yeah,
similar situation. How are you over in Minnesota?
I'm good. I'm getting on the best I can with, how stuff is and, missing the soccer, but, I'm just glad, looking forward to when it returns and then just any live sports in general.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Obviously, there's been news today, I think, or yesterday, that the Bundesliga has been given the green light to come back, and that should come back within the next couple of weeks or so. Which, obviously, if it's all safe to do so, is a very big positive, and it'll give us something to sit down and watch. You know, I'm not a big Bundesliga fan. I don't watch a lot of football outside of the Premier League, but I'll probably be watching every single Bundesliga game. I'll tell you that, especially while the Premier League isn't on.
Oh,
So just yourself, obviously, starting from the very beginning. I know, I'm sure you'll tell the audience in a second, where you're from Minnesota, United States. How did Everton come about in your life? How did you find out about Everton? How did you decide, you know what, I'm gonna support this football club. I want to follow this football club. And what attached you to Everton Football Club? Start from the beginning. Let's hear your journey.
so it kind of, I kind of fell in love with the game when my family took a vacation to Belgium during the 2014 World Cup. And so I'm like, oh, I can get into this. And that's when I got the bug. And since then, it's like I've been every weekend, I'm trying to watch as many games as I can and, supporting. And it kind of, was like trying to find my team. And, first I kind of like, I didn't feel like a connection to some teams. And then when I found out, because I didn't realize that really that Minnesota had a professional team until they went into the MLS, which was 2016. And I found out that like the coach was Adrian Heath, and I had kind of developed a friendship with a friend at that time, and he was a Everton fan, and I kind of said, Minnesota, and he's like, oh, who's that? Who's the manager? And I'm like, Adrian Heath, and he's like, he's a legend, man. I'm like, oh, how so? He's like, he's a legend for the club that I support, Everton, and just he was just amazing, and just his style, even though there are Minnesota fans that don't like as far as the way he likes to play, like sometimes, but kind of had like he had like a 3-year plan. So like the first two, we actually played in like a stadium that was meant for American football, and then we moved into Allianz Field, which if there is one stadium you want to go to for a game for Major League Soccer, maybe besides Atlanta, would be Allianz Field where Minnesota play. And and for me, like to drive down, it's like a 2.5 hour drive for me to go down to every single game.
Yeah.
So I'm that passionate, and kind of that kind of that inspiration of what he can bring to the club inspired me to be like, oh, hey, I'll check this club out. I'll check Everton out. So I kind of just started, supporting Everton, and then, kind of,
It all
my
went from
friend
there.
kind of, I went, yeah.
Got that emotional connection, that bug, as
Oh,
we
yeah.
like to call it.
Oh, yeah. And, and when, my friend that initially introduced me to Everton, came over to the States last summer, and I took him to a game. I took him to a game, and it's always kind of, if, at the end of the Minnesota games, you always want to be, you always, want to win, because there's nothing like, nothing more special in in Minnesota than singing our victory anthem at the end of every game, which you get the entire stadium singing Wonderwall.
Very popular song over here by a very popular band as well from the other side of the northwest, but definitely a fantastic tune, and I'm definitely looking forward to hopefully coming to Minnesota one day and being able to
Oh yeah.
experience the atmosphere
Hmm.
and come to a game as well. So obviously inspired by Adrian Heath, you mentioned that a friend there, told you all about Adrian Heath in terms of his playing days at Everton Football Club. He wasn't an
Hmm.
absolute icon, part of that. That team that literally went on and won the European Cup Winners' Cup and was just absolutely excellent, full of fantastic footballers. Whenever you watch that team, you see how together they were as a team, as a squad, as a family, basically. And I heard Adrian Heath have an interview a couple of weeks ago, and he said that he was first approached to join Everton by Howard Kendall, and Howard Kendall at the time wasn't even manager of Everton, he was managing somebody else, but he phoned Adrian Heath up and said, listen, I want you to come and join Everton Football Club. And he was a little bit confused because he was like, you're not even the manager of Everton, but then obviously it all fell into place. He signed them, and then the rest is history. He was a fantastic player for Everton, scored some really important goals as well. So in terms of time frames, when was this around? What year? Who was Everton's manager at the time when you first started getting into watching us consistently?
It was probably kind of maybe around like 2017,
Okay.
probably.
Yeah.
See, 2017. I don't know who was the.
Koeman.
Yeah,
At the time.
yeah, it was that. Yeah, and that kind of, it was kind of, I would watch whatever games I could, and if that means, waking up at, old dark 6:30 100 hours to, watch the games. I'm up, and I'm,
Ready.
especially if it's especially if it's a Merseyside derby, even though, you just hate, you just love the passion between each other that, you have for the club. Sometimes it can just be, a huge letdown that, the fans showed up, but the players didn't really at all.
That's Everton for you, mate. That's Everton for you. If you're enjoying the scene, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. Let's get it shared. If you're watching live, get it shared all over social media. Let's get as many people in here as possible. Another amazing story that we're listening to today from a fan from completely the other side of the world who picked up the Everton bug, and even very, very recently travelled all the way from Minnesota to Goodison Park to watch Everton Football Club. I'll let Go to tell a story about that one. Probably quite a memorable game this season, to be perfectly honest with you. We'll talk about that in just a second. Before we go into talking about that, I just want to ask you genuinely, genuinely, that's not the right word, generally, how you doing at the moment? Obviously, it's tough at the minute. Things are a little bit tough. How are things over in Minnesota? How are things over in America? We've heard just before you go into it, we've heard from a British standpoint today that there may be some sort of ease on the lockdown on Sunday or Monday. So how is it over in the States? Is it looking like there's going to be any ease whatsoever, or are you still very much in complete lockdown?
I know a few states have started releasing their lockdown, but as far as like Minnesota, it's really, I think, it's the stay at home is still until the 18th of May. So, but I guess it's up till then. But it is what it is, and you kind of you just you get along, and you take your precautions to make sure you don't infect others or get infected
Yeah,
really.
keep everybody as safe as possible, isn't it? And again, if we do come out of this lockdown in the UK, or there is regulations eased, and we are allowed to, go out and see family, or whatever those relaxations should be, I still hope that everybody remains as completely safe as possible. Still, does wash their hands as they're being informed to, make sure they're wearing the correct equipment, and just continues to stay safe, because we really, really don't want another wave of this virus, whether we're going to get it or not. We want to try and sort of nullify it as much as possible. So moving on then to that game that you come over to. We met up before the game, we had a little bit of a chat, we had a drink, we spoke about the football club. It was just after I think it was just after Carlo Ancelotti had taken over. Obviously with that poor start to the season under Marco Silva, Duncan Ferguson come in, really revitalised the club, give us a new lease of hope. Carlo Ancelotti had then come in, obviously, and the future still is looking very, very bright. So you come over all the way from Minnesota, spent a couple of days in Liverpool, and then I'll let you tell the rest of the story, the game that you went to and how it ultimately ended up.
Let's just say, wish I, could have maybe gone, to another, a different game, but ultimately we chose the game that Everton ended up, pulling in Everton and conceding 2 goals in the last minute, and I've never heard that many F words since I was in Ireland. It was like and the scenes from being, two zero up, and seeing, Moise Keane's, first Everton goal, and being like, yeah, we're, we got this in the bag, to very late, just
Heartbreak.
Everton that.
Yeah, it was complete Everton that. It was heartbreak. It was probably arguably one of our best performances of the season up until that point, and then like you've said there, I remember leaving the stadium and I couldn't speak, mate, for about 15 minutes. My jaw had just hit the floor and I didn't know what to say, because we've seen Everton do a lot of things over I'm sure you've seen Everton do a lot of things over the past sort of 3 or 4 years that you look at and you think, how have they managed that? But that was one of the ones where even I sat and thought, I don't know what's happened there. I really, really don't know what's happened. But overall, other than the result and the last minute of the game, did you enjoy your experience at Goodison Park? Did you enjoy the
Oh yeah, definitely. The atmosphere is definitely different, compared to, over here in the US, where, it's like, in the US, kind of our supporter section, as far as like Minnesota, which like my parents got me season tickets for. So like I was kind of, I was looking forward to, going to some, and, and we're chanting the entire,
yeah.
90 plus minutes. And then, and I kind of go over to like, Goodison, and it's like, I mean, there's still, there's a few a few times chance, but, you're still, and it's different. And as far as, it's different, but I really enjoyed my experience
And I
there.
assume you're planning on coming over again in the future, obviously, when this is all done and dusted and over with, and the Premier League starts back up again and fans are allowed back in the stadium. I'm assuming that Goodison Park's on your list again.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm already planning a yearly trip to go over to see an Everton game, and just you know just being back there, and being around people that have the love and admiration that I have for this club.
Great. It is. It's a special, special club that forms special, special bonds with its fans. And like I said, I absolutely love doing streams like this, bringing Gortz on, Cornet, who come on last Friday. And it's really, really heartwarming and uplifting to hear fans from, other countries, complete other side of the world, have such an emotional, strong bond and strong connection with Everton Football Club. And, as Gort's explained there, he come over, and it would have been fantastic for us to win 2 or 3-0 or 4-0 and absolutely wipe Newcastle off the park, but that wouldn't have been an Everton. Gort's come over to Goodison Park and watch the complete Everton display in terms of we were fantastic for 90 minutes and then we threw it away in the last couple of minutes. So obviously, you watch that game live, you experience the experience at Goodison Park. You seen a performance that, like we said, was okay for large majority of the game, but then towards the end it sort of tailed off a little bit. I'm sure you were thinking in your head that there were certain players that needed to be replaced and weren't good enough, and I'm sure you've seen all the transfer rumours over the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks. Certainly since we've gone into lockdown, there's been an awful lot of transfer rumours. Who do you think we need to bring in the summer? Is there a specific name? Is there a specific player that you think we need to bring in, or is there a specific position that you think we really, really need to look at? What do you think Carlo Ancelotti needs to do in order to improve this Everton team going forward?
I mean, I definitely think we need to find a keeper. Like our defense is, we have, arguably like the best, one of the best left backs and promising young center backs in the league, and Digne and Holgate, who are phenomenal, and you have like you can kind of switch like with Keane and Mina, and I would maybe try to sell one of them and maybe bring in a younger, a younger center back that can kind of prove, and then midfield. I feel kind of like Sigurdsson can kind of provide that. He only has like moments. He's not like he can with his free kick prowess and stuff. It's like, but as far as like him playing in the way that Everton want to play, I feel like maybe like getting in definitely get in like a more creative midfielder, that definitely like a younger one.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the attacking options we have is just phenomenal with Richarlison and my one of my new favorite when I went to the game, my first time doing a bet, and I put a bet on that Calvert-Lewin would score first. I should have done it where he would have scored second, because then I actually would have won some money. But
being in pocket a little bit there. I can't remember who scored. Oh, Moise Keane it was, wasn't it? Moise Keane scored, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yep, and that was in the Gladways street end. Yep. So that was.
It was a good night up until the last minute, wasn't it? It was a good game, but obviously, like we said, Everton doing Everton, and I think you're probably with a lot of people there that are thinking in terms of Mina and Michael Keane. There's been a lot of strong rumours over the last 2 or 3 weeks that we're looking at a centre half. We've had Gabriel linked, we've had Todibo linked, that we spoke about on Monday's live stream, and if we were to bring in a centre half for 20-30 million pounds, I think we can pretty much expect Michael Keane or Yerry Mina to leave the football club. We're not going to sell Mason Holgate, and we will be assuming that whoever was coming in for that price will be playing next to Mason Holgate, and you don't need 20-30 million pound players on the bench, so we would assume that one of them will be sold, and obviously that would help the financial fair play situation as well. Eugene is put in the chat, Everton Ponder, Jabril Sidibe decision amidst transfer uncertainty. He also says Everton give a major hint on Premier League after Bundesliga return. I'm not too sure about that one. How do you feel about Sidibe? Sidibe is obviously, he's a big part of conversation at the moment, because if we don't take the decision to sign Sidibe, then and we take the decision to sell John Joe Kenny or put him out on loan again, then we're stuck with just Seamus Coleman, who obviously has had his injury issues in the past, although he's an absolute Everton legend. I'm not too sure whether he could play consistently for 38 games. How do you feel about Jabril Sidibe? Have you been impressed with him defensively, and would you bring him in on a permanent?
I feel as far as like he's good. He's good as far as like his attacking, because he really gets up the does really get up the pitch and helps initiate, try to assist. But on as far as like the defensive side, he's really, I feel like he's not that good at defending. So I'd maybe, if I were Everton, I would, let Sidibe go and then just bring back Kenny and let Kenny and Coleman, battle it out for the right back. And, especially with just the Bundesliga returning, it kind of gives it will give us a chance to actually, turn on the telly and actually look like at Kenny and how he's progressing over in Germany. And
no, I agree, spot on, I agree. I think this is a fantastic opportunity if the Bundesliga returns for us to look at John Joe Kenny. We know he's played well in the Bundesliga, we know he's doing okay, and we know that Marcel Brands and other members of the football club, coaches will have looked at John Joe Kenny. But it's always good for as a fan to watch your loan players, your players that are out on loan, to see how they're doing, and like you rightly mentioned there, this will be a fantastic opportunity for us to do that with John Joe Kenny, and it'll also be a good opportunity for us to do that with Jean-Claire Todibo, who is the centre-back who's currently on loan at Schalke from Barcelona, who has been hinted at a move to Everton Football Club as well. So we'll both be able to watch them for the same club, but obviously more specifically focusing on John Joe Kenny, because I agree. I think Sidibe, listen, for 12 or 13 million pound, if we had a fantastic side and we had a strong right winger, you could probably say, right, okay, maybe bring Sidibe in as backup for the right wing position. But realistically, you're looking at the right wing position and you're thinking, we've got a 32-year-old Theo Walcott, who we're going to need to replace at some point in the near future, if not this summer, definitely within the next couple of transfer windows. Would you then be bringing in a Sidibe, who we know isn't probably good enough to start on the right wing, would be a backup? Would it be worth bringing him in? And I agree with you completely on the defensive point. I just don't think he's good enough defensively. I think his strong point is definitely going forward, and for me, we need a right back that first and foremost can defend, and then the attacking presence is an add-on there. So I agree completely. You mentioned centre half, goalkeeper, right midfield as well. Obviously, you mentioned the strike partnership, Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, absolutely fantastic this season, especially since Carlo Ancelotti come in and Duncan Ferguson come in. I want to talk about another striker. I want to get your opinions on Moise Kean, because obviously there's been a lot of things in the news regarding Moise Kean over the last sort of week or so. He broke the lockdown regulations by having hosting a house party with a load of people obviously that were coming in from out of his house. He then went on a little bit of a thing and took Everton out of his Instagram bio. Apparently, there's been a lot of rumours linking him with a move away from Everton Football Club. How do you feel about Moise Kean? I personally said, just for a little bit of context, I said that I think if Moise Kean wants any future at Everton Football Club, he needs to get his head down, have a little look at Dominic Calvert-Lewin and think, you know what, I need to be acting more like him, I need to be training like him, I need to be playing like him, I need to be looking at him and going, that's how I want to be. But whether he wants a future at the football club, I suppose we'll have to wait and see. How do you feel about Moise Kean? Would you sell him in the summer, or would you like to keep him and give him a little bit more time to settle in?
I feel like if we could keep him in the summer, and exactly like you said, have him somehow just get his head down and look at like you said, Calvert-Lewin, and as far as like here's how I want to play, and I really, really want to, progress and, really try to stake my claim into the team and be a regular starter and hope, I'd, maybe go with the possibility, a tiny chance of maybe, going on loan to, going on loan and, getting some regular first team and hopefully, maybe within, being a regular starter in a team that would, force him to really, put his head down and really try to get better and
improve.
Become a
Improve. No, I agree, 100%. I agree. We'll dive into the live comments. Then Eugene says Roma wants Keane. Again, like Gorge just said there, for me, there's a potential possibility of Moise Keane leaving the football club on loan. But I think if he was to leave, personally, I think he'd leave on a permanent deal. Whether Roma can want him all as they like, Roma are going to have to pay upwards of £40 million for him because that's what we'll want, and I don't think that Roma have got the money to do that. Joel and Eugene both say you're watching the Everton versus Manchester United watch-along later, the 4-0 game from last season, I'm assuming it is. I didn't even know it was happening, to be honest with you, so I might try and catch it if I get a moment, but I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't too sure it was happening. David says Germany is a much bigger country than England with half the fatality rate. It's not an indication for us. I actually agree with that. Sorry, having a little bit of trouble here. The Skype's having a nightmare with the camera, so it keeps making it big and small. So I'm just trying to, there you go, match us up so that we're equal. Carl says hello Cam. Tony Bellew was 2-0 down inside 10 minutes on FIFA. I've just seen it. He's just been beaten 7-0 by Michael Obafemi, who was representing Southampton on FIFA. So not a great day for Tony Bellew, to be perfectly honest with you. Not a great look for him, that, but who cares? He's former heavyweight champion of the world and he's an Evertonian. So Corn says, what's up, lads? Seeing that you have so many Everton shirts, got one for me, Cam. I've got loads, mate. I've got loads. Let me keep me up to date on Instagram with the situation regarding the Everton shirt, and if not, I'll try and see what we can do. David says, Inchy was injured too much. Good player, just unlucky. He was a fantastic player. He really, really was. And like I said, I don't watch too much MLS. I can't lie. But how is he settled in as a coach? Obviously, how has that transition been for Adrian Heath? I know you said a couple of, there's a few fans that are a little bit unsure about his playing style. How do you feel he's done since taking over at Minnesota?
Definitely. He came in, with a a 3-year plan with the 3-year within by our third season we would make the playoffs. Our first season was, I don't even want to talk because we you kind of get that new and you have a new group of guys, and second season we did get better, and then the most recent season felt like we had our best team yet. Like we got Vito Manone on loan from Reading, who he was the best goalkeeper by far in MLS, and feel like even though and then you come to this season where it gets postponed 2 games in, where we were on a 2-game winning streak, and we had our first season at the new field, we only lost once, and when they postponed it, our next 4 games were going to be at home, and so it kind of hopefully get started up again, and he can bring us success. And last season we made it all the way to the cup final, and unfortunately lost that, but it's definitely been a journey of you love at times you're like, what is he doing, and at other times you're just like, just like
there's that inconsistency,
a complete the inconsistency that he has sometimes, and the substitutions he makes. And
that comes with being a new coach, doesn't it, I suppose, and learning the trade. But hopefully, he settles down and everything starts to go as well as it possibly can do. Cyforce Trinity says, fun story, Gort. Thanks for the invite. There you go. No problem at all, mate. Wimmy says, how's everyone doing? I'm not too bad. Where are we? Yeah, Cal says, here's one for us. Cam, how long do you think we have left with Richarlison? I really think we'd be lucky if we get one more year. It just seemed leaving, but if he does, we have to prepare to make sure the Lukaku situation doesn't happen again. Personally, for me, I think Richarlison will be at Everton Football Club for a long time. I really, really do. I think he loves the football club. I think he's very into it. My biggest worry with Richarlison was when Marco Silva left. I felt like that could have potentially, turned his head a little bit, obviously, because of the relationship he had with Marco Silva. Marco Silva brought him in. So I was a little bit worried at that point, but then obviously when Carlo Ancelotti come in and Richarlison seems to have settled massively under Carlo Ancelotti and seems to have built a very, very good relationship with him. I'm confident now that Richarlison will be at Everton Football Club for quite a long time. Don't get me wrong, if somebody like Barcelona comes in with a £200 million bid or something silly like that in a couple of years, then maybe the club will decide it's financially we need to let him go, and maybe the player will want to go and play for Barcelona, as I'm sure many footballers do. But I think, I don't think Richarlison's going to be very easy to turn. I think it'll take a lot for Everton to want to sell him, and I think it'll take a lot for him to want to leave Everton. What do you think about that? How long do you think Richarlison will be at Everton Football Club? Do you see him being there, quite a while, or do you see him maybe wanting to jump ship soon?
I'm on the train that Richarlison he joined Everton for the long haul, and hopefully his him helping this club bring success is just something that makes him keep wanting to stay and helping bring success to Everton.
Spot on, I agree. Wim says, Dave, 96p's hit the like. Cal says Keane is still good enough in my opinion. I don't think Michael Keane isn't. I don't think it's a case of him being good enough or not. I think it's a case of if we bring another centre defender in, we can't keep Michael Keane, Yerry Mina, Mason Holgate and another 20-30 million pound central defender. We're going to have to get rid of one of those players, and I think out of those three players, obviously because we wouldn't be getting rid of the new signing, I just think Michael Keane's probably the one that I'd probably want to sell over Yerry Mina. Cal says, for me, as you know, Cam, I'm not a big fan of Keane. I think he isn't, Moise Keane this is, I think he isn't Premier League quality. It was a silly signing we wasted. He had scored 7 for Juve. We could have used the money for Iwobi and Keane. For Zaha, nah. I like Moise Keane, I do. I think he's got a good future. I think he's got a lot of potential. I'm not too sure on Zaha. I don't even know whether, obviously at the time it was very, very exciting, and a lot of Evertonians wanted him at the time, but thinking about the money that we'd have had to pay for him, he's not young, he doesn't do it that consistently, if we're being perfectly honest. I think I'd probably rather have a potential Moise Keane and the money, if I'm being honest with you. Eugene says, William says, I think you're wrong about Keane, but time will tell, Cam. Eugene says, where do you think Everton will finish when the Premier League starts up again, and do you think Everton will get Europe this season? I'll let you run with that one, mate. Where do you think Everton would have finished, shall we say, if football wouldn't have been postponed?
I would say, I would probably say, close, probably close to the, the European spots. But now that that's kind of been, postponed and a little, I feel like, as far as, we might, not get into Europe next season, this season, but definitely, next season, that's kind of, I feel like our priority is to get back into Europe.
I agree, spot on, I agree. I think, we all got very excited when Ancelotti come in, and we went on quite a run of results and wins, etc. And then obviously it sort of tailed a little bit when we lost to Arsenal and we had the Man United game, which was, again, we should have won, but we unfortunately didn't. And then obviously the Chelsea game, I agree. I think we just sort of flip-flopped around the European positions if the season was still continuing, and probably will do when the season does ultimately come back. Obviously having no fans at the stadium and being behind closed doors will make a massive difference. But, I think next season we definitely need to be finishing in the Europa League. If not fighting for the Champions League, definitely need to be finishing in the Europa League. Wayne says, the more Brazilian players we sign, the happier Richarlison will be. Spot on, he will be. And Carl says, the game against United cost us Europe. We got robbed, but whether we'd have finished in Europe or not, I don't know. And Wayne also says, under or Suarez every day of the week, over Zaha. It'd be interesting to see how those transfer rumours sort of continue and progress over the next sort of couple of weeks or so. David says, if we all chip in 96p's, we can buy a dinghy and get into Europe. Don't think anyone's going into Europe at the moment, certainly not while everybody is in lockdown. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's live stream. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. A massive thanks to Gregory or Gort, as I'm sure you all know him, in the comments, for coming on, joining us, telling his Everton story, letting us know his Everton journey and how he became an Evertonian, and how Adrian Heath inspired his journey as well. You can find Gort's Twitter and Instagram in the description down below. Go over there, give him a follow him on Instagram, follow him on Twitter, let him know how much you appreciate his story. And massive thanks for coming on, mate. Really do appreciate it. Massive thanks for telling your story. Have you got anything to say before we leave?
It was great, telling my story, and telling it, on here, and just the channel and hitting, subscriber, just Cam, just keep doing what you're doing, and we're all there to support you and support Everton. And
thank you very much, really do appreciate that. Like I said, big thanks to Gort for coming on. Here's a quick final question. Eugene says, who's the worst player you've ever seen in an Everton shirt? Who's the worst player you've ever seen in an Everton shirt, mate?
I'm gonna go Clausen, Davy Clausen, probably.
Fair enough.
I mean, that was probably just didn't really work
Definitely
out.
It was disappointing in terms of the feeling we had when he come into the club versus obviously ultimately how he performed on the pitch. Yeah, 100%. I agree, 100%. Wayne says, take care, guys. Stay safe. Thanks very much. Wayne says, thanks for coming on, lad. There you go. And Newton says, see you, buy up the toffees. Thank you very much. If you've enjoyed the stream, please do hit the like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. We're aiming for that 1,750 mark. So if you can help us out in any way possible, we'd really appreciate it by hitting the subscribe button if you're new, and sharing this channel, sharing the streams, sharing the videos as well, all over social media. Big thanks for watching once again. A massive thanks for Gort for coming on. Really do appreciate everybody for watching in the live comments. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and I'm sure Gort will be in the comments having a little look, and I definitely will be as well. Join us on Friday at 5:15 p.m. to talk more transfers, to talk more Everton as well. Once again, a massive thanks for joining us. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.